The next person is quite dear to my heart, actually. Speaker number 5 is going to be talking about profitable inclusion, the business case of inclusive tourism. It's Ingemar Fredriksson. He's the CEO of Inclusion Services, but with him here today is also a young man, Ilias, that I had the pleasure of spending 12 days with when we brought Nadia here to the UAE. The services that they provided for Nadia, who is 26 years of age and has cerebral palsy, she can't speak, she's deaf and wheelchair bound, was absolutely first class, and I absolutely applaud Ilias for his support over that 12 days, but also his company for providing an amazing service for people with determination. Welcome.
Salam alaikum, and that's all the Arabic you will hear from me. I'm going to talk about profitable inclusion, but don't be scared. I'm not talking about profit in the strict capitalistic sense. I'm talking in a broader sense. So don't worry about that. And the thing is, why should it be profitable? Well, you can read. It's only a responsible way to handle because it's often public funding going into it. And it's also the only respectful way to see people for their capabilities, whether they have a few percent or more than 100%, like Stephen Hawking. And then what's this accessibility? Gir, as they say in Arab countries. And inclusion, same, gir. We can shorten that down. Accessibility is making it possible. Inclusion is making it happen. That's how we simplify it. It's no more complicated than that. And I will describe how we see this. We see three levels of inclusion. The first level is the traditional accessibility level, an environment that's accessible. Even if you have that, it's not enough. You need other things like paratransit, which we provide, wheelchairs, you need equipment. And you may think that super accessibility is all you need. It's not. I come from Sweden, that's where our company originates. In Stockholm today, we have 1 million people. We have 1,200 vehicles providing paratransit. Even though the subway, everything is very accessible, it still doesn't help everyone. So we have to have this additional service and other means. But the third step is the most important thing. This is most important. If you're going to achieve inclusion, you need the third step. That means laws and things like that, but also that you enforce the laws. There's no point just having a disability act and don't enforce it. Like in Sweden, if you refuse a kid to come to a school, you will be sued for discrimination. No school will dare to do that. But in other countries, I know they do. They have a disability act, but then the school can say, no, we don't have the capability, our facilities is not good enough, the teachers are not trained well enough, so they can't handle it, etc. That's not the thing. You just have to comply. And enforcing the law is very important. One part of the third step. The second most important part of that is changing attitudes. And we talked about, several speakers have talked about different type of role models to see people with determination out in the society and in movies and stuff like that. And that's it. We need to make it like, it's just, we all have something. Nobody's perfect. So it's not a big deal, really. But we really need to work on this. And we need all three. I mean, we need accessible infrastructure, and you need design codes for that. You need the service providers like us and others, and then you need the legislation and changing attitudes if you want to achieve inclusion. And I don't know if you've seen this, but this is an interesting thing. And what I want to do when I talk about profitable inclusion is also encourage businesses to see the potential of this. It used to be charity, it's not anymore. These are customers, potential customers, for all businesses. And why should you reject 10% of the customers. Nobody would do that, right? So the evolution has been going on for quite some time. We talked about it yesterday, the semantics of, we talked about handicapped and then we changed the terminology and so on. That's just the bottom of it. The concept have also changed too. And what we have from UAE, a great contribution, we have a new definition. Not only a new definition, but new initiatives to get people to the beaches and stuff like that. That slide shouldn't be there. You didn't update my presentation, sorry. Here is the problem. Still, a lot of people don't have jobs. And that's an untapped resource for any country. You shouldn't do that. I mean, everyone can contribute. Why should people sit home when they can do something for society? And they want to do that. Everyone wants to feel meaningful. You don't become a different human being just because you end up in a wheelchair or something. You're still a human being. You have the same needs. You want to be useful for yourself, for your family, for your society. But unfortunately, this is how a lot of people feel when they're in a wheelchair. I'll tell you a very charming story. Was a guy, he was in his late 20s, living in Saadiyat here, and his father was taking care of him a lot and helping him when we needed to go out or something. And then they discovered our services. And the guy, this is not about our services, I'm not marketing, I'm talking about the guy. The guy got hold of our services, started to go out much more. 5 minutes ride to Saadiyat Club and just have coffee with his friends, sit there, listen to music, go home. And what's so heartwarming for me is when I met the father once and he told me, my son told me something yesterday, he said. Yeah, what? He told me, Dad, tomorrow I'm going to go to Dubai. And his father was like, because normally it meant a lot of things for his father to arrange in order to make it possible for his son to go to Dubai. And the son just say, no, calm down, Dad. I just call inclusion services. And the pride in that father's face was like, wow, it's like any parent can relate to this. You've seen your kid go on a bike for the first time and they manage it. You're proud because you give them independence. That was the same pride in that father, that finally his son could be independent and do something he just wanted to go with friends whenever he wanted. So you can really change lives with these kind of inclusion services. And as I said, why should we limit people? I mean, just because you're in a wheelchair, I said a few percent, and I said plus 100%, right? Because we have brains in wheelchairs that's more than 100% if we take the normal level of intelligence. And I mentioned Stephen Hawking. Why should we waste that capacity that these people have? Give them real jobs instead. And this is the profitability for the individual. Liberating them, empowering them, like we did with this young guy in a wheelchair. Suddenly he could do whatever in his spare time. And of course, suddenly you can get a job too, if you just can get there. And the other problem we face today in some countries, and here's something we could help improve in UAE, and it's not saying something bad. An American friend told me once, Ingemar, you have to realize, it doesn't have to be bad to become better. So it can still be better, and that's what we can provide. Today, the solution, I didn't say that, we mainly be working in Abu Dhabi for 2 years. We're just entering Dubai. But the thing is, what we see there is that people don't have any solution. There's no paratransit. Either you call an ambulance or you get your relatives to help you. And we have 1, 3, 4 people have to take time off the work to assist the family member. And now we start to help them. I mean, imagine you have someone who has to go for dialysis 3 times a week. That's 12 times a month. You have to take time off work just to help someone because the service is not there yet, unless you call an ambulance, which is expensive, and that's not a good solution. So this is what we offer. We offer special vehicles for people in wheelchairs. We take 2 wheelchairs and 5 ordinary seated things. And here's, when it comes to tourism, I will tell you something. When it comes to tourism, we really help building the brand. We have 12 vehicles now, primarily in Abu Dhabi. We take a lot of cruise ship passengers. You know what they say? They're coming to Abu Dhabi. We take them from the cruise ship, and they come into this vehicle, and they say, wow, this we don't have in US, this we don't have in UK, Germany, Italy, Spain. And they're astonished, like, wow, how did you get this? Well, it's been developed for more than 30 years in Sweden. We just brought it here. And that's why, I mean, being an inclusive destination blows people's minds. You really get them very, very happy. You change the experience of the whole destination, because this is the thing. This is the top problem people with disabilities have when they travel, local transportation. This is from a survey that, this is top. This is not for people who don't have a wheelchair or other impairments. This is for people with disabilities. And so what we touched on now, can I go back? What we touched on now is 2 things. I mean, first, we have the individual. The profit for him is being liberated. Second, for society, you use people with whatever capability they have, use the percentage they have, and take away the minus of other people having to assist them, taking time off work. That doesn't help GDP anywhere. So that's the society profitability. And now we're coming to the company profitability. This is becoming a big sector, and some of you already talked about this before. This is becoming a very interesting market segment. Most cruise ships, major airlines, major hotel chains, they realize this. That's not the problem. The missing link is in transportation and also in tour operators and travel agencies who knows this. So there are specialists like Maggie and other consultants who help them, and you too, to fill the gap. But here's the gap. The big ones, they're okay, but it's the small gaps, and then you don't have a seamless experience unless people like you step in and find out people like us and other people who can make it seamless. But still things to catch up in there. But it's a huge market. There's several figures about this in different countries. I'm not reading off slides. You can read yourself. I think you're fully capable of that. And there's a big sector, and it's growing. Because, mentioned too several times, in certain steps of life, we all need some assistance. It's just natural. And it's a growing demographic for different reasons. You've seen that report before. Main thing is the aging population. I was in an exhibition in Cannes a couple of years, a real estate exhibition, and there was a guy from a German insurance company. He told us that a girl being born today will have an average life of 117 years. 170 years would be the average lifespan for a girl being born today. And being older brings a lot of problems with more need for inclusion services. Not only ours, inclusion services in general, I mean. Yeah, here you go. You see some interesting concepts coming up in different places. You have personal assistants. You have websites for it in Madrid, etc. So catering for people with special needs is a switch from old economy to new economy. And what I mean about that, either you have oil or taxes. Here you have oil. In Sweden and other countries we have taxes. But these are all limited resources. So we switch from the old economy to the new economy. Tourism is the biggest growing sector in the world, and that's why you should go for accessibility, because 10–15% more potential customers. So it's a no-brainer for any destination to go to be more accessible. That's it. Thank you. have an accessibility guide for Dubai that we made, which shows you the main destination. Also, if there's special discounts for people with disabilities, and special offers for them. It's in this book, and it's free. You can get it in our stand over there behind the NADD. Thank you.